Hello everyone. So in this particular video, what we'll be doing, we'll be discussing topics which are important for what you say UPSC prelims from society perspective. So I will share my society notes, whatever I made, and we will discuss it. So let's start. Let's not waste any time. First of all, scheduled caste term. So scheduled caste term has been used for a very long time. And but the thing is, what we have to understand is the legal recognition to the term scheduled caste was given by GOI Act, Government of India Act 1935. So Government of India Act 1935 has given the legal recognition to the term scheduled caste, right? So yes, they can ask you that which particular act gave recognition to the term SC. So that is GOI Act 1935. Now let's talk about certain provisions or certain things which are important in the terms of the topic suicide. So I will not talk about the things. We will only discuss the important areas. See, Mental Health Care Act 2017. So there are various questions which can be framed on it. First question which can be framed is like, in which year Mental Health Care Act was passed? Or Mental Health Care Act was enacted in which particular year? Now, the thing is, so it is 2017. The other thing which is important here is it has decriminalized suicide. Earlier, suicide was a criminal offense. Now it is not, right? So it's like you are already in a depressed mood. You committed suicide. If you didn't die, then you will be charged of a criminal offense. It's like you have been charged multiple number of times, right? So now what Mental Health Care Act has done is it has decriminalized suicide. So it is not a criminal offense now. Now, again, second thing which is important here from prelims perspective is World Happiness Index or World Happiness Report. Who publishes it? UN publishes it. So World Happiness Index or World Happiness Report, UN publishes it. And according to that report, 2018 edition, India was ranked lower than occupied Palestinian territory. So you can see. And WHO also says that India is most depressed country in the world. Not important from Prelims perspective. What is important here is who publishes World Happiness Index or report. Similarly, Mental Health Care Act was passed in which particular year? What has it done? All these things. Now again, what is very important is this one. So Global Peace Index. So which particular, just a second, who publishes Global Peace Index? So IEP and Economist Intelligence Unit, they published Global Peace Index, right? So IEP is Institution for Economics and Peace. That is IEP and Economist Intelligence Unit. It publishes a lot of things, the CIU. So in 2018, Global Peace Index, remember it, because these reports and index, they are very hot favorite of UPSC, right? So Global Peace Index, IEP and EIU publishes it. India was ranked 137 out of 163 countries. Now, let's talk about certain things. What are the criteria for a community to be called ST? What is ST? Scheduled tribe. So there are different criteria. See, remember this. These criteria are not spelled out in the constitution, but these have become the general norm. So what are those criteria? That they have primitive traits. They should show a certain amount of traits which are primitive in nature, ancient in nature, and which should be protected at all cost. They must have a distinctive culture, shyness of contact with community at large, right? They have their own silos in which they are operating. And the fourth criteria is geographical isolation or backwardness. So these are the basic four criteria: indication of primitive traits, distinctive culture, shyness of contact with community at large, and geographical isolation, that is backwardness. Now, there are 700 tribes, scheduled tribes, which are notified under which, now this is very important. So if somebody asks you, scheduled tribes are notified under which article? Scheduled tribes are notified under which particular article? So the answer is Article 352. So this is important. So over 700 tribes, with many of them overlapping in more than one state, are notified under Article 342 of the Constitution. Remember it. Now, there is a welfare development board which has been announced in the interim budget of 2019-20, and it was announced, this welfare development board was announced to implement the welfare and development program of denotified committee, nomadic committees, and or communities. Denotified community, nomadic community, and semi-nomadic community. What does this denotified communities do? This is very important. They can ask you in different ways. So if you want to know denotified committees, I will show you certain things. So understand this. Hope you people can see it. So denotified tribes or DNTs or communities. What are these communities? They are also known as Vimukta Jati. If we say Vimukta Jati, we are saying the same denotified communities. And what does it mean? They are the tribes which are originally listed under Criminal Tribes Act of 1871. So these whole tribe has been denoted as criminal. I think this is, what do you say? This is actually a kind of criminal untouchability, if you say so, right? It's stupid, dude. You cannot say some people can be bad, right? But the whole tribe cannot be criminal, right? But that was what happened. These denotified tribes or Vimukta Jati, they were the tribes which were listed under Criminal Tribes Acts as criminal tribes, right? So whatever the people of these tribes did, everything was what do you say, seen with a label of what do you say, doubt. So this is not dude. This is not done, dude. So now on this particular thing, what has been done? Lots of commissions have worked on it, like Renke Commission and Idate Commission. So you do understand what are denotified committees. Now they have been denotified from that Criminal Tribes Act. They are no longer treated as criminal tribes. So remember one thing: they were notified under Criminal Tribes Act of 1871. Now they have been denotified. That's why they are called denotified communities. Now, what are the commissions? Again, this is very important. Renke and Idate Commission. Renke and Idate Commission. So Renke and Idate Commission, they can ask you, they are associated with what? So they are associated with denotified committees. So Renke Commission and Idate Commission have done commendable work to identify and list these communities, Renke and Idate Commission. Now let's talk about population growth. So natural growth of population, right? And again, understand one thing, this society, if you talk about society, population, all these topics, they are under GS1. If you talk about main syllabus, they are under GS1. But right now we are talking about certain areas from this, and we will be talking when I'll be sharing my GS1 mains notes, then we'll be talking about these things in detail. But right now we're seeing those areas in these particular sections which are important from prelims perspective. So now let's not waste time. So natural growth of population is birth minus death, that's it. But actual growth of population is birth minus death minus immigration. That means how many people are coming inside your country minus out migration, right? So there are two terms, immigrant and immigrant. What does it mean? Immigrant means when you leave your country. When you leave your country, you become an immigrant. When you arrive into another country, when you leave your country, when you leave your country, you become an immigrant. When you arrive into another country, you are an immigrant in that particular country. When you arrive at another country, you will become an immigrant of that country. So understand this. You have to understand the difference between immigrant and immigrant. Arrive other country, when you're arriving at other country, you become an immigrant. Immigrant with I, when, like, suppose you left India, so you are an immigrant with E in India. But when you arrived USA, then you become an immigrant with I in USA. So arriving as a country, immigrant. Leaving your own country means living your own country, immigrant with E. Arriving as a country, immigrant with I. So what is actual growth of population? It is birth minus death plus in migration minus out migration. So that's it, dude. Now let's talk about Joseph sign case. Very, very, very important from prelims, mains, any perspective you take it. What is Joseph sign case? So it was, the case was, what do you say? The verdict was given in 2018, and it abolished section 497 of IPC. IPC is Indian Penal Code. So it abolished section 947 of IPC. And what did earlier? What was the basic provision in section 497? That it criminalized adultery. So adultery was treated as a criminal offense, not only as a civil offense. It was treated as a criminal offense. So now what has happened under Joseph sign case? This whole thing has been abolished, section 497. So now adultery is no more a criminal offense, right? So if you want to see certain things, let me show it to you. Yes, just a second, dude. So see, so now what has happened? Adultery is a civil offense, but it is no longer a criminal offense in our country. Adultery is no longer a criminal offense. You can see this. It is no longer a criminal offense in India. And under which case? Joseph sign case versus Union of India. So understand this. And which is the provision of IPC which deals with adultery? Section 497. Section 497. Cool, dude. Now let's talk about social audit. Social audit means community participation, where you are making the officials who are implementing a particular program accountable. So it's a very great form of decentralized governance. Decentralized governance. So the thing is, first time social audit was given statutory status, means it was incorporated under certain act, that is it was given statutory status under Manrega Act for the first time. Meghalaya has passed a separate act on social audit. So Meghalaya is doing a great work on it. Now let's talk about certain things. Urbanization, Amrut, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. It was introduced in year 2015. So these kind of things they can also ask, when was Amrut introduced? It was introduced in the year 2015. Composite Water Management Index, CWMI. It has been passed by what? by which organization? Niti Aayog publishes it, Composite Water Management Index, and it talks about that India is one of the most water-stressed nations in the world. Around 40% of groundwater exploitation of the whole world is happening in India, and all those things were the findings of Composite Water Management Index. And our cities, the cities of India, contributes to 60% of India's GDP. Not very important from Prelims perspective, but still I've written it. So what is important here in this particular thing? Amrut, when was it introduced? Composite Water Management Index, who publishes it? Niti Aayog. According to it, India is one of the most water-stressed nations in the world. 40% of groundwater extraction of the whole world is happening in India. Now, in the next, we'll keep until here only. In the next, society session, which we'll be having for prelims, we'll talk about women, different areas like when is International Women's Day celebrated, who publishes Global Gender Gap Report, what are the findings of NFHS 4 on women, right? What is menstrual hygiene management guidelines and all those things. Health is a state subject, so what happened here and all those stuff. So we'll talk about all these things in the next video on society, where we'll be discussing important points from prelims perspective. So that's it. Have a good day, you people. Thank you.